Neapolitan. Originating in Naples, Italy, this is widely considered the foundation of modern pizza. It is defined by its simple, raw ingredients, typically featuring San Marzano tomatoes, fresh mozzarella cheese, fresh basil, and olive oil. The dough requires highly refined wheat flour and must be stretched entirely by hand without the use of rolling pins or machines. When baked in a wood-fired oven at temperatures exceeding 900 degrees Fahrenheit, the cooking process takes only about 90 seconds. This intense heat creates a soft, elastic crust with characteristic dark, blistered spots known as leopard printing. Because the center remains quite moist and pliable, the slices droop when held, prompting many traditionalists to eat it with a knife and fork. Its strict preparation guidelines are even recognized and protected by an Italian governing body, preserving the historical integrity of the dish. New York style. This variation emerged in the early 20th century as Italian immigrants adapted their traditional recipes to the realities of American bakeries. It is characterized by its large, wide slices and a relatively thin crust that is crisp along the edges but pliable enough to be folded in half. Folding the slice has become a practical necessity for eating it on the move, effectively trapping the grease and preventing the cheese from sliding off. The dough relies on high-protein bread flour, which provides a chewy texture, and it is traditionally tossed by hand to achieve a uniform thinness. The sauce is typically heavily seasoned with garlic, oregano, and crushed red pepper, contrasting with the sweeter, simpler Italian sauces. Baked in coal or gas deck ovens, the low-moisture grated mozzarella cheese creates a distinct, beautifully browned surface. Chicago deep dish. Developed in the 1940s, this iteration completely restructures the architecture of a standard pizza. It is baked in a round, steel pan resembling a cake or pie tin, which allows the dough to be pushed up the sides to form a tall, sturdy edge. This deep basin creates room for an enormous volume of ingredients. To prevent the cheese from burning during the extended baking time required for such a thick dish, the ingredient order is inverted. Slices of mozzarella are placed directly over the dough, followed by meats such as Italian sausage, and finally topped with a thick layer of crushed tomato sauce. The crust itself often incorporates cornmeal or semolina, resulting in a slightly yellow, crumbly, and biscuit-like texture that supports the heavy moisture of the inverted fillings. Detroit style. Tracing its roots to the mid-20th century, this variation was born out of the city's automotive industry. The original pans were actually rectangular blue steel trays used for holding small parts in car factories. The dough is thick and highly hydrated, developing an airy, sponge-like interior with a crispy exterior, similar to focaccia. Wisconsin brick cheese is traditionally spread all the way to the very edges of the pan. As the pizza bakes, this cheese melts down the sides, touching the hot steel and forming a caramelized, crunchy, dark edge, known as a frico. The sauce is often ladled on top of the cheese in thick, parallel stripes after the pizza emerges from the oven, preventing the dough from becoming soggy during the bake and preserving the delicate internal structure. Sicilian. Originating on the island of Sicily, this is a thick, square-cut pizza that heavily emphasizes the bread component of the dish. The dough is given ample time to rise in a well-oiled rectangular pan, resulting in an incredibly soft, spongy interior and a deeply golden fried bottom. Unlike many American variations, the traditional Italian version frequently utilizes strong, pungent flavors rather than a heavy layer of mild cheese. Anchovies, onions, tomatoes, and herbs are pressed directly into the dough before baking, allowing the flavors to permeate the crust. A light dusting of hard sheep's milk cheese or breadcrumbs often serves as the final topping. In the United States, bakeries adapted it into a heavy, cheese-laden square pie, but the underlying defining characteristic remains its pillowy, high-rise dough. St. Louis style.
Unique to the Midwestern United States, this pizza stands entirely apart due to its completely unleavened dough. Without the use of yeast, the resulting crust is exceptionally thin and possesses a rigid, cracker-like crunch that cannot be folded. Because of this brittle foundation, the pizza is always sliced into small rectangles, a method locally referred to as the tavern cut. The most polarizing element of this regional specialty is the cheese. It exclusively uses Provel, a processed cheese product combining cheddar, Swiss, and provolone. This cheese has an unusually low melting point, creating a sticky, buttery texture that adheres cleanly to the teeth when bitten. The sauce is typically sweeter than standard varieties, heavily seasoned with oregano, giving the entire flatbread a distinct flavor profile rarely replicated outside of its home city.
Lahmacun. Often referred to globally as Turkish pizza, this vibrant street food fundamentally breaks one of the most common pizza rules by entirely omitting cheese. Instead, it features an incredibly thin, almost tortilla-like round of dough that is smeared with a finely minced paste of beef or lamb, tomatoes, onions, parsley, and warm spices like cumin and paprika. Because the dough is so thin and the meat layer is spread completely raw, it bakes in a blistering hot stone oven in just a matter of minutes, resulting in a crispy edge and a highly flexible center. It is rarely eaten flat or sliced into wedges like a standard pie. The traditional dining method is to squeeze fresh lemon juice over the top, load the center with fresh greens, tomatoes, and sumac-dusted onions, and roll it up tightly like a wrap. While Turkey also boasts pide, a thicker, boat-shaped dough filled with cheese and meats, it is the light, cheese-free, rolled-up lahmacun that has truly earned the international title of Turkish pizza. Calzone. Originating in Naples, Italy during the 18th century, this dish was conceived as a practical, portable solution to eating pizza on the go. The name itself loosely translates to trouser leg, hinting at its original purpose as a casual street food that could be eaten while walking. It is constructed using standard leavened pizza dough, but instead of remaining flat, the circular dough is folded entirely in half over the fillings to create a sealed half-moon shape. Unlike its rolled cousin, the stromboli, a traditional calzone relies heavily on a blend of cheeses, prominently featuring ricotta alongside mozzarella, which provides a dense, creamy interior structure. Perhaps its most defining characteristic is the placement of the tomato sauce. To prevent the enclosed dough from becoming heavy, soggy, and rupturing during the baking process, the marinara sauce is almost never baked inside. Instead, it is served warm on the side as a necessary dipping accompaniment.